We know things are happening, right?
Yeah.
We know that maybe sperm counts are lower. We know that kids have, there's higher autism and higher, all these things.
Right.
But, you know, so it's your job to try and link it.
Yes.
And then once
Exactly.
you link it, or you think you know, then you have to prove it to the government and
Right.
to
Right.
the lady from the Chemical Council.
Yes, exactly.
So
exactly.
like, people want
It will be very hard to convince.
People want to fight. What's crazy to me, it's not crazy because there's money and we know all that stuff, but it's crazy to me that people want to fight, that someone can sit there like on CNN with you and just fight you on something where I mean, it's not like...
But you know what? That's her job, right?
I know, but...
You know, and there's a lot of money at stake, and it's only natural that a manufacturer will want to defend their product.
But what if their product is killing people? You know, at a certain point, I understand, and we all understand, you know, but I think there's a degree of, I'm just going to bury my head in the sand until somebody, like the tobacco companies, you know, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, or no one's going to say you can't smoke, but they wanted to tell everybody that it wasn't bad for them.
Yes.
Until the bitter end.
Right.
It's just crazy.
Right. I had previously conducted a study on pregnant women and their partners. What we found was that the higher the concentration of certain phthalates, the babies tended to have smaller anogenital distance, smaller penises, and less descended testicles. Less completely descended testicles.
Okay, so there's a direct link.
So it looked like we were seeing what by then had begun to be called the phthalate syndrome. So the phthalate syndrome was defined in rodents. We looked for it in humans. We saw indications that it was present in humans. And so we say tentatively we feel we have identified an analog of the phthalate syndrome in humans.
If you talk about plastic with people, even environmentalists or anybody, they'll say, well, hey, plastic has a lot of good uses.
But not all plastic has to have phthalate in it. So there are neonatal intensive care nurseries that have chosen to remove phthalates from their NICUs, their nurseries.
So it doesn't have to have it?
No, it doesn't.
So why, I know the answer to this, but I want you to tell me, why would someone continue to make stuff for babies that has phthalate when you have an option?
Well, I think if you're in the process of manufacturing and you do things a certain way, you tend to keep doing them that way. And until recently, there wasn't evidence of harm of these products. I think that the hospitals that are removing phthalates from their, whenever possible, from medical tubing, from NICUs and so on, are on the right track. I think that's the precautionary thing to do. That whole green chemistry movement is really the way to go. I think that's where we're headed and where we have to go. Consumers are choosing to lower their exposure, and manufacturers are choosing to phase out a lot of phthalates from their products. So I think the direction is good. We're learning more, we're lowering exposure, reducing exposure, and we're getting some legislation in place which raises awareness of the issues. I think we have a long way to go. There's a lot of people who never heard of phthalates, never heard of endocrine disruptors.
There was a quote in this article
Yes.
where someone referred to it as, I don't know, I'm paraphrasing, the global warming of like health.
I actually agree with that. I think what we have to ask all the time, and it's a great question, is do we need it? And a kind of good rule of thumb is if we don't need it, let's not bring it into our house and into our lives and into our womb.